session here. We're pleased to be joined by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He drives the number 17 Faster Than All Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. And Ricky, coming off a pretty solid performance over there in Atlanta. Your car was fast up front during qualifying, up front during the race for most of the afternoon. Just talk about this new rules package, and then talk about how the test session went for you today.
Yeah, last week was really good for us, and we'd kind of hoped to start that way, but we weren't real sure how it was going to play out until we actually got to Atlanta. So, but all in all, we were really happy with how qualifying went, how practice, and then how everything translated to the race. And there's some things that we need to clean up to. I think we could have finished a few spots higher, but all in all, the cars were fast and they handled good. The aero package was a lot of fun at Atlanta, but Atlanta's fun no matter what. So it'll be interesting to see how Las Vegas, how the race ends up playing out with the lower downforce package. I ran around some cars today to try to get a feel for that. The Fast and All Ford felt decent today. We didn't do any qualifying runs at the end like a lot of cars did there, but so far so good. Definitely have a lot more speed than we had to start the year last year, or even to end the year last year. So that was a big positive, vibe going throughout the shop, and hopefully we can keep that up.
Take some questions now for Ricky. We'll start right here with my good friend Holly Kane.
Ricky, you kind of just alluded to this, but I definitely got the feeling during the media tour that you guys were a lot more pumped up and optimistic about the year. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because you've been, fast and still fast. And
yeah, I think we were more pumped up this media tour because of the way we ended last year versus the way we started last year. So we were going in the right direction at the end of the year. And, I think all the things that we learned throughout last year and the things that, we implemented to our cars and to our system, the people we implemented, brought over some more information, all that just kind of kept playing into the way we ended the year last year. And so it kind of made us, more motivated and, pretty happy with the group of people we got, and really believe in the direction we're going. And you can see that throughout the shop. The drivers, we feel it, we drive it now and can see a difference. And I think that was the biggest thing for us drivers is over the last few years we were doing a lot of work, and the team was doing a lot of work, but we didn't really feel any difference in the race cars, and we didn't see any speed difference in the race cars. So last year, going throughout the year, and we could see a difference, and I think that was the first time since I've been on the Cup side that I've actually felt a difference in the cars and continuing to get better, and so that was a huge bonus for me.
Bob Pockers has one right over here, Jane.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. Do you credit the new nose, new body style on the Ford for any of this, or is it mainly you think what your team itself has been doing?
Well, I feel Ford Performance has done a great job with our race cars, and I definitely don't think the nose hurt us in the some of the new specs that we have. But I would say that Ford Performance and Ford and everything that they did with the body was definitely a little bit better for us, get us more similar to the other cars. But a lot of it goes to the work that everybody at Roush Fenway's done. The engines ran great last week, and the cars handled good, and we didn't have any failures, and I think that was a big key. Our pit stops were good. Everything that we've been working on at Roush Fenway has just been to not make any mistakes and just to be better in every aspect. Our pit stops were better last week. So it takes the whole package, and we had one bad pit stop with another car blocking us in, and and it cost us quite a bit of time. But other than that, it's about not making mistakes, and everybody at Roush Fenway worked really hard this off season to make sure that our cars were better than they were last year.
Take a question right here. Go ahead.
The mic's against the chair right there.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Right here.
Bob, those are expensive. Thank you.
Are you having fun this year driving in Atlanta, driving that low downforce package? I mean, you spend a lot of time on dirt sideways, so I can imagine that it's got to make you smile a little bit behind the wheel.
Yeah, we had our hands full last week. We were a top 10 car, and I had my hands full, and so I've been further back, and I knew that some people really had their hands full. So, when we were racing with Dell Jr. and racing with Ryan Newman and those guys, we were all sliding around, and we could all go in one corner and somebody make a mistake because they were hard to drive, and they were hard to hit your line at the right spot at the right time, and so that made it a lot of fun, and the car sliding around, and then you having to take care of the tires. And I don't know if we're going to see it as much here at Las Vegas. The cars felt pretty locked down today. I think that's why a lot of us, always want to raise our hand and say, hey, take more downforce off. But right now it is definitely a good direction, as seen by the drivers, and the way we were able to race a little bit closer to each other without our car just handling really bad. And so I went out there today, and that's why I was trying to run behind some other cars to see how that was going to affect it, because Las Vegas last year was pretty bad with how fast we go around here and how much on throttle time that we have. The aero package last year really played a big role in how the car drove around other people, and it was a little bit better today for sure.
Let's make our way over here to Jim.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Kind of following up from earlier, is it hard not to get a little excited about what's been going on when, it's only been 2 races and a test session, but with the way the last couple of years have been, do you feel like you need to temper your enthusiasm a little bit, or in case it doesn't work out the way
for
it looks
sure.
like it is?
For sure. I mean, we went to Daytona, and the cars were fast. We qualified well. We didn't get the results that we wanted to in the race, but the cars were fast. And, and everybody was like, oh, man, that's great. I was like, hey, this is one race, and it was a super speedway race. We get to Atlanta, and, we were fast and felt good. And, all throughout the weekend, I was like, man, I just hope tomorrow goes as well as today did. And we just kind of took it one day at a time. And, I was talking to Dell Jr. before the race last week, and he's like, what do you think? I was like, well, the first 2 days went really well. I hope the race goes that well. I just didn't really know, and, I've had cars go the other way on race day. So definitely on the 17 team, we're taking it one day at a time and one practice at a time, and just making sure that we maximize that. And, again, we had a good race at Atlanta, but I was a little nervous about how the car was going to be today, and if we were going to have speed or how it was going to drive, and it was a lot better than we were here last year. So again, just taking it one day at a time, not trying to get ahead of ourselves and think we've got it figured out. We still got a long ways to go, because we want to be back winning, and we want to be running the top 5 consistently. So definitely happy with our top 10 last week. But like you said, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself.
Let's go back to the back, Jay.
Russell Clevenstein, drafting the circuits. Earlier this morning, we had Carl Edwards in here, and he said he was pleasantly surprised how the Goodyear tire was gripping on the track and widening it. Did you notice anything? Did you notice it getting wider on the second session?
Man, we got the track definitely widened out. I mean, all of us were running a lot higher than we were in the first session. The rubber was getting laid down on the racetrack a lot in the second session versus the first session today. And, the track changed a lot. I think it's going to change a lot throughout the rest of the weekend and throughout the race. I think you're really, just because you have a good race car to start, I don't think your race car will be, if you don't do anything to it, I think it's not going to be as good at the end of the race, because the more rubber that got on the track, the cars didn't turn as well, for me anyway. So we got to play catch up. I think we got a little bit behind throughout the day. So we got to go in and make some changes to get it better. But the tires hooked up good, but we were also losing some tire, off of it, and the lap times were falling off. I think the morning session, the tires and the cars didn't fall off near as quick as I think everybody wanted to, similar to Atlanta, or we want it like Atlanta. But in the second session, I think the cars finally started to fall off, not near as fast as Atlanta because the racetrack's a lot different. But I think, man, it seemed to be over 15 laps or so. 20 laps, you could lose maybe 0.8 to a second.
Final question here from Ron.
Ricky, you mentioned the changes a little bit. The weather on Sunday is supposed to be way different. 20 degrees cooler, 30-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some rain. What, if any, impacted that?
Yeah, one of my engineers is new and on our team, and he asked me how bad the wind affects our race cars here, and I said pretty bad because he told me Saturday is going to be pretty windy as well. I did see that the temperatures were going to go down, so that will help. I feel like my car turned a little bit better. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think the race would be better if it was a lot hotter, like it was today, unfortunately. But we really can't control the weather, so we'll just see how that plays out. The wind's definitely affected a lot here at Las Vegas because we're going so fast. And the cars. When you're going close to the wall down the back straightaway, and then you turn off the wall, the wall kind of blocks the wind sometimes if it's blowing towards turns 3 and 4, kind of to the side of you, and definitely changes the way your car handles. So it'll be interesting, come Saturday, trying to figure that out.
Hey, Ricky, thanks a lot for coming
Thank
in,
y'all.
and good luck this weekend at Las Vegas.